you check the children. Show a little match sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is what
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm Davey Deathray.
And I'm Mahalo.
And we are back once again to discuss the newest episode of Alien Earth. And this is episode 7 of 8. So the penultimate episode, right? The finale coming along next week. And I gotta be honest, with what we've gotten thus far for this season, I'm ready for it to close out. You know, like it's feels like it's getting to where it wants to go, but so much of the ride was uninteresting to me that I'm ready for it to be over and have them recalibrate for season 2, which we'll inevitably get considering how well this season did. But let's talk about episode 7. So my overall thoughts on this one are I enjoyed it. I thought it was more interesting because we started to have things finally happen and get resolved with a few different issues. One in particular I was very happy to finally have done, which we'll get to, because again, you can call it spoiling, but we're discussing the episode, so that's the whole point of these discussions. But yeah, overall I enjoyed this one. I'm not sure how I feel about Guard Dog Xenomorph, but I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on that at some point. But yeah, whenever we get to it, that is. So Davey, what are your thoughts on this episode, your overall ones?
Yeah, I think this episode was pretty all right. There's some things that we've kind of been waiting to have happen, you know, and you're hoping that you at least get some of these wants in the first season, you know, to make you want to check out the second season. So, you know, I'm sure we'll get to those, you know, as we chat. But yeah, there's some things that I think the one thing about this episode is it kind of confirmed some of my, not like fears of the show. Whatever, that's maybe a bit too dramatic, but it sort of confirmed some of my thoughts as far as this really is something that could have been consolidated and been like half as long as far as number of episodes. It feels like we are kind of trying to jam some stuff into the last couple episodes here. But at the same time, like what's there on the camera, I'm like, this is what I thought there would be more of in the show based on the trailer that I saw. So it was kind of cool to see some of those jungly aspects and all that kind of stuff, which I think was teased a lot more in the trailer. Now we're kind of getting there. So, you know, due to a couple things that happen, I am curious to see how they're going to wrap things up and then what they're going to leave for us for next time around.
Mahalo, how about you?
Overall, I dug the episode. I just wish there was more use of practical effects when it comes to the Xenomorph. I do like the design of the Guard Dog Xenomorph. I am on the fence with it. I can't decide if I like it or if I hate it. I guess it really just depends on how far this thing is willing to listen to its commands. I think there's got to be a hard line for it, right? Where eventually it's just going to be like, nah, you're not a Xenomorph. Screw you. It's kind of what I'm hoping for. But overall, I like where we're going. Finally, picking up some action. We're getting somewhere with everything. I really am mostly interested in this Oculus thing. I like that they're really figuring out this thing. It's more intelligent than it is, and then to figure out the pie. That till here no pie. The next number's coming forward. That was awesome, and I really think when they said we want to put it in someone else, another person. I think eventually it's going to end up in the Boy Genius.
Oh, that's a smart call. Yeah.
He wants to talk to something smarter than him, right? Well, this thing is probably way smarter than him, at least more clever.
Yeah, he is pretty fascinated by it. So I think I'm trying to, circling back to the Guard Dog Alien, like let's talk about it right out of the gate, because I think that's sort of the newest, most interesting and most questionable addition to the lore we've gotten this season.
Yeah.
And here's the issue, because I'm like, why is it bothering me? Because like the idea of it is fine and dandy, I guess, but it feels like it's asking a lot of me to buy into, like, not only this being the first synth to ever be able to do this, but to have it actually be a child inside the body of a synth that has figured out how to do this. And considering that this is technically first in chronological order of everything, or no, it's after Prometheus and Covenant, right? But before Alien 1. So but it's that early on in the Alien timeline, and we've never seen this happen ever again afterwards. Like, she's so special that she's the only one to ever figure out how to actually train and guard dog a xenomorph. I think that's where I'm bumping into it, mainly. But yeah, so I don't know. What about you guys? Your guys' thoughts on guard dog Xeno? Just while we're here.
So is something going on to where it's like she had that injury from when she beheaded the xenomorph in episode 2, I believe it was. Is there something that has changed about her that is giving her the ability to speak with this thing or connect with this thing? If so, I'd like to know. I'd like them to acknowledge it, because it's been, it's the second episode. We're now finishing up the season, so I feel like they should kind of tie that back around. If it has to do with something that is, like, for lack of a better word, supernatural, beyond just the scientific. And then I think this is the exact kind of thing that is going to just, like, rile up all the shit stirrers and half of the population out there that just wants to trash anything that's new. Is not only are we seeing the tamification of a xenomorph, but of course it's like the girl child that is like the special one. So it's leaning into these things that are kind of like low-hanging fruit for critics, I think. And then the fact that they're not really doing, or that they haven't yet really explained the connection other than it just is what it is. I think maybe that's some of the dissonance that you're having there, Cecil, because I sort of had the same thing too, where I'm like, I get it, she's not human, but her brother is. She's able to really control this thing that is like this hive-minded thing that doesn't, it's not like a dog. It's not even, I mean, even cats, we haven't even been able to really domesticate those fuckers. So
they've only ever been in existence to kill. Like, so, like, why? Yeah, it's
and to listen to their queen,
right?
Listen to their queen. So I'm like, is that where this is going? Is she going to, like, morph into a queen at some point? Is that where they're going to take her character? Because I've only seen xenomorphs listen to the queen, and not that I've seen or consumed every bit of alien media, but in everything I've seen, that's it. So yeah, I think there is a little bit of that dissonance there for me as well.
Mahalo.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. Something hit me today when I was watching it, and because I was kind of feeling the same, like, what's the connection between this android and why can she do, or this hybrid, and why can she do it? And I was thinking, okay, the decibels, the xenomorphs tend to, like, speak or at least communicate on a level of frequency that we can't normally hear. But then it also hit me, they're both biomechanical, right? She's technically a biomechanical humanoid with the brain and soul of a kid with mechanical parts. And if we're going on the lore of the xenomorph, they're basically biomechanical themselves. You can see they're their own design, and that's what Geiger wanted originally. And I mean, in comics, there are comic strips where, like, xenos are quote unquote tamed. It's more like they tolerate more than anything. But it's I don't know. I can't find it between what, I don't think she's special in communicating with the xenomorphs. I think it's more like she just understands the frequency better. Especially with like her interest in the bugs earlier.
It's not frequency, it's language. It's her clicks and how she's doing that. That's not frequency.
But she couldn't hear it until the decibels got to a certain level, which would be the frequency of noise. So humans couldn't hear it, is what they were saying. Only she could hear it. Yeah. So in the episode,
so can they not hear her doing it back then? I would assume
no.
Not.
She's audibly making the noise for them to hear, but the xenomorph doesn't make those noises audibly for humans to hear.
Wait. So yeah, I'm with Davey. Like, I missed where I don't understand fully why she's suddenly able to do this.
I don't think it's sudden. I think she's deciphering the language herself. That's why when she said, I think I told it hide follow. I think.
Right.
So I think she's slowly determining like what the clicks mean.
But how does she have that connection to, like, how does she have the connection to hear it make those noises that no one and no other synth is able to hear, apparently?
Because they turned her hearing up on the decibels. When she got knocked out, and they had woken her up. They were messing with her hearing audible decibels, and they had raised it before they had woken her up completely, so she could hear them clearly.
But what about like end of season or end of episode 2 or beginning of episode 3, where it seems like she has she's like literally feeling the pain of like the face hugger. She's somehow now in tune. There is like some sort of
psychic
unexplained connection. They're really leaning on this like chosen one kind of thing. It's the chosen one girl and also the chosen one xenomorph, because we haven't seen a xeno like this before. So they're really they're kind of doubling down on something that I think to a certain extent in something like this, which is, you know, in its essence, in the original Alien movie, it feels somewhat grounded in the science aspect of it.
Yeah,
this seems like pretty out there.
This has got some hocus pocus on it for sure.
For us to really get behind and be like jazzed about it. I'm interested and I'm curious. I just don't know if I'm like loving the entire journey here.
I mean, they're taking like a technopath thing with her too. So they're giving her like 2 or 3 different abilities that they haven't even bothered to explain much on either.
Yeah, well, I mean, and so two things. Like, one, again, like I feel like there would have been data from this somewhere that would have like some synth would have found and like been like, oh, okay, so I'll just raise my fucking hearing so I can now communicate as well. And not only that, the other thing, I had 2 points I wanted to make. They basically, what they've done with this thing is they've solved the problem that Weyland-Yutani has been trying to solve since they learned about the xenomorph, which is how do we harness this to be a weapon. Like, now they could do it, and it's like before they've even technically learned about it, right? And like, but now, like, so like someone figured out how to do what Weyland-Yutani wasn't able to do in more than 100 years of trying to study these things. It's just it's a dumb creative decision for that purpose alone, that it negates so much. Well, it doesn't negate so much of the lore. It makes it mighty convenient that in an age with this much technology, no one knows about any of this shit that's happening right now. Even with 5 different companies that are as big as Weyland-Yutani, you know, including Prodigy, where they are, like, is there any chance at all that in this science fiction future, all of the information that they take in isn't automatically backed up elsewhere, fucking on other planets even? Like, we back stuff up on other hard drives. I feel like in this universe, they would back it up on even other planets. Where like, okay, if something ever happens to this planet, you know, we'll be okay. Because fucking in this world, shit like that feels like it could happen. To
make that worse, the synths record everything, audio, video, through their eyes. So unless the whole island implodes and sinks under the water, the data's there. The recordings are there.
There'd be a cloud. There'd
Earth
be like
never goes away.
clouds.
So like, how is this information never found or reutilized after this?
And going off that, the Nostromo should never have happened, right? The accident shouldn't have happened. They should have been aware of what a xenomorph was based off of this information.
Yeah.
It's very messy putting it in the year that they put it in. It raises a lot of questions. In a way, it's sort of like forcing the audience to do the retconning, because they're not really going to do it in the show.
Yeah.
But we have to do the mental gymnastics to like enjoy the show within the confines of the storytelling, which they could have just picked a year after, and any year after, really.
Yeah, it's a really baffling decision, and the boy genius. Okay, so I guess we can move away from Guard Dog for now, because there were some other things that happened. So boy genius was annoying as usual in this, but he was tipping into sort of Lex Luthor-ish, going a bit further into the evil, sort of manipulative, outward-facing manipulation, as opposed to sort of doing it on the sly, you know, sort of thing. So yeah, we're getting to a point where he's going to have to learn his lesson, so to speak, just from a story standpoint. But yeah, what were some of the other things? I know there was synth stuff that happened and everything, but I don't want to talk the entire time. So, Davey, what's another thing, another plot line that we could talk about in this one?
Well, yeah, you had slightly Arush dealing with Arthur, the scientist, who's now got the face hugger wrapped around him. Uh, it seemed like it went by really quick, although I guess sometimes the incubation is, I mean, even in the first Alien, it's probably not even 12 hours or so. So
Yeah.
it is relatively quick. He just thought he had more time. So when they're trying to get him to the cyborg, of course, the of course the xenomorph pops out, you know. I thought it was really odd when he's like feeding him from the little bottle. I was like, I'm watching that and I'm like, man, I've never seen anyone successfully like manipulate in any way a face hugger
Yeah.
to be able to like get a straw in there and like give him nourishment or whatever. I'm like, I thought that was impossible. I thought that was like touch the face hugger and it's just gonna start like tightening and trying to,
Which
and
it did
basically
eventually.
threatening to
Yeah.
kill the host. Yeah. But it lets him lift up its little like flap or whatever. And I'm like, man, I ain't never seen that. This show's like starting. It's like every episode, the show has to do something where I'm like, that just doesn't seem right. And
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a gatekeeper. I'm just trying to be a fan where I'm like, I ain't never seen anything crazy like that. So yeah, that's one of the other plot points. And of course, like Smee goes along with him. I think one of the things that a lot of the characters are learning, especially the new androids or the hybrids as they call them, is they're learning about lie and betrayal and who they can trust, and they're sort of like all reforming like their own like set of morals kind of as we go. Especially Wendy seems to be struggling with that in like a higher degree. So yeah, we see a little bit of that with Smee and Slightly because it seems like they've got kind of a friendship going on, and then now there's been betrayal that's been entered in there, and then of course we get the whole storming of the island, which I thought, I was like, okay, this is cool. I like this. I like that this wasn't completely telegraphed. That now we have the soldiers coming up out of the water, and it's like, okay, Wayland Yutani is just straight up coming after this shit. And that was one of the plot points where I was like, I'm cool with this. Like, I like seeing this in this story.
I did like
Yeah,
oh, sorry, Mahalo, go ahead.
You know, I'm right with you on there with the Whaley and Chinese soldiers coming out of the water. The way they came out of the water was pretty cool too. And the callousness from the Captain Hook character that we've gotten in Kumi towards Arush. This is, I think, what the show's kind of needed a little bit sooner. I think was to maybe have this conflict happen maybe 2 episodes ago, and then carry this conflict out to conclusion of the season. Because this is cool. This is fun. This is kind of giving me some Predator vibes when them walking in. You know, like I feel like maybe this is the bit of the Yacha we were missing from the part. I'm not saying there's going to be one, but still, it feels they're giving me that action movie vibes. And Aliens is one of my favorites, so I'm hoping for a lot of.
And you don't know when they pop up. You're like, oh, this could just be the Prodigy soldiers or Prodigy soldiers. They do a good job of sort of like, it's not so telegraphed, and you're like, oh, okay, shit, here we go.
Well, so yeah, I'm gonna hit on that, and then I want to circle back to what you talked about, Davey, because the soldiers did get to feature in a scene where we finally, like in the first episode of the season, we saw that apparently xenomorphs can really mess some stuff up. I'd like to say it in a different way, but my son, of course, it's Tuesday, so he refuses to go to sleep. So yeah, what was nice was in this episode we finally they showed us how the Xeno could dispatch all of those people almost as quickly as they made it seem like in that first episode. That was kind of cool. I like that, just whipping its tail around while it's leaping from person to person. And I was like, okay, that's neat. I was kind of it didn't make a ton of sense to me as to why it is the way that it is, but I kind of like the coloration. Like it's almost like it's got, what's that skin disease? I can't even think of the name of it, where it's, where it's like some.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Discoloration,
Yeah. Yeah, because it's kind of got a little bit of a brown.
Yeah, well, it's got a couple of like just random streaks of almost white on there too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting design, but I did like that, seeing it take everyone out that quickly. But Davey, to your point with with the face hugger, did you notice? Like, I know they showed a close up of it, so you probably noticed, but the fluid that it drained out, like it spat out. It would not let Slightly give the. Is that what it's Slightly? Give the water to the guy. Like he tried to give it water, and then it showed a close up of the face hugger spitting it out. So
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it was literally, it will not let anyone like nourish whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like what it's putting in its throat, in the victim's throat is all that matters. So I did think like to your point, like they have to add a little something, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a new series. So it's like, okay, well, the fact that he was able to lift up the flap, and apparently no one else has ever tried that when trying to extract a face hugger. It didn't matter, right? Because the face hugger still wouldn't let the fluid in. But yeah, it's a mixed bag, right? It was like, okay, interesting, but like it raises a lot of questions. So the next thing I think would be good to talk about. Well, we hit on that plot point, but we didn't talk about the fact that Slightly and Smee, was it? They had to witness the chest burster. And were both surprised by it, and then it jumped out and went into the bushes. And again, they're messing with time so much, and as far as gestation time frames so much, that it's frustrating, because in every other instance it seems like it's only in that form for a very, very brief period of time, and yet like 10 minutes later we cut to it slithering still at that very size when it gets netted. It's like I feel like it would have grown even more, that even in that little bit of time, based on what they've presented to us in every other instance we've seen in Alien in the past, even though it's all in the future except for Prometheus and Covenant. Anyway, whatever. So like they're playing fast and loose with a lot of stuff, but I did like those two actors' reaction to having to witness that. It's always cool to see people having to witness a chest burster for the first time.
Yeah, the explosion of blood is great. They handle that really well here.
Now, I did want to touch on the synth attack towards the end with I can't remember what they call her, but the crazy redhead Nibs. Yeah,
Nibs.
Your favorite.
Yeah.
Cecil.
I was just waiting for this to happen, and like, so yeah, she finally goes crazy and like starts attacking the soldiers. Right? I think she attacks the soldiers. But she's dispatched like with one shot from an electrical gun, and like she's done. And it's like, I feel like Boy Genius would be pretty pissed if he invested like $1 billion into each of these synths, and like they're dispatched with one shot from an electric gun kind of thing. So, but I don't know, that I guess maybe that could be considered a little nitpicky. It's just another questionable choice to me. What do you guys think?
I mean, I feel like if you had sense with the power they had, you should have some way to neutralize them just in case, right? I don't think it killed the synth, but it definitely took her out. I will say she had some pretty cool kills along the way, though, man. That jaw just, that was awesome.
Yeah, I think that it seems like, she's just sort of like phasers set on stun kind of attack or whatever.
There we go.
But yeah, I was expecting her to go batshit. I thought she was going to like fly all over. I thought it was going to be a total bloodbath, and that the xenomorph was going to show up and everything like that, and Wendy was going to get involved. But they it seems like they don't really want to go. They don't want to give us the full Monty in this one. Maybe, who knows what the heck we're going to see in the finale here. But yeah, I think maybe the most consequential part of that whole scene is now Wendy seems like she feels like she can't trust her brother now, because she's just like struggling, trying to understand like who is really like on her side, and I was a little bit disappointed that the Xeno didn't show up, because she started calling for it. I know she was like held back or whatever, but it was right there, right? Wasn't it just right there? I'm just like, oh, that would have been sweet. Just, give us a little bit more of that action, but whatever. They're saving whatever they got for the finale here.
So yeah, I don't know, Mahalo, do you have any thoughts on that before I move on to the last bit? Because I think the last thing to discuss is the whole laboratory bit with Timothy Olyphantastic, and
I did like that they gave us a view from the Xeno's point of view, even if it was really quick. During that whole altercation on the boat, and she had begun to call him, and then the brother had put the hand over the mouth to keep her from doing it. There's a quick cut to the Xeno in the bush, and it's like you get to see what the Xeno is seeing at that moment. And it's obviously the thing has no facial features, so it's kind of hard to tell what it's thinking. But I kind of felt like it was like screw this lady, I'm gonna go do what I want. Maybe that's just me hoping that we get back to Xenomorph chaos, because I think I'm more on the other side of the fence of this should not be something that's controllable.
Right.
I mean, that's the whole story of the Xenomorph. You try to control something, you can't.
Yeah.
And if there's a connection there too, you think that at some point it would jump into action to protect Wendy, because there is that. There's some sort of, anytime when she walked into the lab earlier in the episode, the thing like perks up like a pet.
Yep.
You know, and then it just seems like this thing is drawn to her, wants to protect her, and obeys her. So yeah, maybe in the next episode they're gonna pick up kind of where they left off, and we are gonna see a little bit of that. That shot, that POV shot, it's got a little bit of the kind of Friday the 13th vibe, like looking through the bushes on the edge of the lake. You know,
classic
like
slasher, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the first time we've seen the Xeno POV since Alien 3? Because I don't remember it other than that. Because a lot of times when it was running through the corridors chasing after dudes, we saw its POV.
We get like one POV during Resurrection when they're swimming underwater.
Was it a POV? I don't think it was a POV. We just saw them following
because you see her feet going like this, and the Xeno's right behind it.
Huh.
But it's really quick. It's like 2-3 seconds, and that's it.
But it's definitely something that kind of a little bit of a standout moment.
Yeah.
Wait, real quick before we get to the end, though, we do get a little bit of Kirsch is playing some friggin' 3D chess here.
That's what I was saying.
Whoa.
Yeah, the lab stuff with Ola Fantastic, Kirsch. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I like that scene because again, it's more of the T-Oculus, or some people call it the T-Oculus. I don't know what the hell you're supposed to say, but it's that thing.
The eye monster.
Yeah, it continues to strike me as the final boss of the season, or the thing that's going to escape in order to be an even bigger, problem in season 2 kind of thing. I liked all that. I liked, Kirsch having to explain to the boy genius what the fly is doing, and like, having to break it that Toodles was gone, and I enjoyed that whole scene. I was kind of interested to see the Xeno locked up, like in that way. Like, I feel like we haven't seen that a ton either, although we did in Resurrection briefly before they kill one of their own to escape. But yeah, it's I liked all the scenes in the lab. I wanted more lab.
Mm-hmm.
No, and that's where I think I wanted more practical effects from the Xenomorph too in that cage. I think it just would have felt more real if it was the full on suited person and no CGI on that Xenomorph doing the movements. I feel like they're missing out chances to really combine the classic Xenomorph in person, in costume with the CGI. I think they're relying a little too much on the CGI. But yeah, the lab scene was great. I love Timothy Olyphant in this. And I like him and Boy Jesus. Boy Jesus have had some stuff going back and forth, but I'm definitely on Team Olyphant here, man. I want to see what his ultimate plan is. And Cecil, you said something last time where you talked about how all the synths eventually are Weyland Yutani. So what's the possibility that this synth Kirsch isn't some embedded somewhere deep with some microchip, some backdated log to be a Weyland Yutani android to give the stuff over to Weyland Yutani?
Yeah.
Now you got to take a drink for every Yutani I said.
But he can't give any of this information over, or Weyland Yutani would have been much more prepared from the Nostromo on.
Yeah, jeez.
See,
that's the bummer.
legs.
That's the bummer of the show.
But they did it. They did it. They did it to themselves. Like it's like I like your stuff, Mahalo. Like I would love if all of that would be able to come to fruition, going forward. But we know that it doesn't. So it's odd writing decisions. And again, like Davey said, just fucking set it after. Like, we haven't heard of any of these other 5 companies ever before. And this takes place before all of that? Like, it doesn't make sense. It was just a poor decision.
I do like the Oliphant stuff, between Kirsch and Kumi, because you find out, like, when you see the baby Xeno get netted, you don't know who it is, right? And then there's that reveal that Oliphant's got it in the little glass case, and he's basically using it as, he's not even using it as a bargaining chip. He's basically like, I've got something that you want. I'm keeping it, and you're giving me back our hybrids. Like, you are done. You're going to be locked up. Checkmate. Nice try. You know, and it's like, and that's where I'm just like, this is really interesting because earlier in the episode, Kirsch is the one that full well knowing what was going on with Slightly and Smee and Arthur, right? He helps them get to the beach. So he knew something, or I don't know what. I don't know what it is. He didn't want the thing to be born in the you know, in their facility. Did he know that Weyland Yutani was coming? I don't know. That's the biggest. I think Kirsch is the J.J. Abrams mystery box here in this show, and they are so fortunate that they got such a great actor to play this role, because it really is the thing that's like keeping me along for the ride. And I'm very, very curious to see what's going to go on in this last episode. But I think to speak kind of what something you were saying earlier, Mahalo, they could have just consolidated and compressed some of this storytelling. I think they could have made things a little bit easier for them and the audience. I know that's a totally different gripe just with the way they do streaming shows anyways in general, but I think there's enough good here, but there's a lot of filler in this show overall. And
in a show that only has 8 episodes, 1 episode of filler is too much.
That's what I'm going to say, yeah. Like, shows used to be 22, 23 episodes. If there was, like, 2 or 3 episodes of filler in there, okay, understandable. But you got a third of that. Like, you make every episode count, for fuck's sake.
Well, and like you were saying, Cecil, you know, in our text chain, you were like only 44 minutes. And the other episodes have been like 55-ish, something like that, 57 or whatever. So it's like, man, you should be kind of sprinting towards the finish. Now, does that mean the next episode is going to be like an hour and a half? It could be.
I'm guessing it'll also be 45 minutes, and they've just filmed it as though like the last 2 episodes could play as an hour and a half long thing.
One
Gotcha.
episode, yeah.
That would be my guess, but yeah.
Yeah. I hope so. I know they're going to want to leave some stuff unfinished for another season. I totally get that. But, you know, as I've said in some of the previous reviews, I just want, you know, enough of these things answered to where we've got, you know, we're hooked. You know, there's more meat on the bone, but we're hooked and we want more.
What are they going to do, though? I mean, because it's still going to be alien Earth, right? So they can't leave the planet. Like, these specimens have to be here, you know, going forward in order for the, like, it wouldn't make sense to call it alien Earth if they leave the planet, right? Do they seek refuge at Weyland Yutani, and the boy genius, like, comes after them with his Oculus person, you know? But that would be out in space. Like, then it's not alien Earth anymore. It's the boy genius is out after them in space.
But wait, Weyland Yutani's still on Earth, right? So I'm saying isn't it?
Is that what did they say that Earth was broken up into the 5 companies?
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay.
Every part of Earth is controlled by one of the major companies.
Okay, gotcha.
So they could do something like that, where you have like your refugees, so to speak, and then in season 2, Boy Genius is taking his evil up a notch, right? And now he's got his creature that's even more dangerous and more intelligent than the xenomorph and the hybrids and all of that.
I think what they might have to do is, I've heard some people posit that it didn't, maybe even the showrunner said, Noah Hawley, that it could be about a 3-episode or 3-season show. Like, that's what he has kind of in mind right now. I could be making that up. I know some people have said 3 seasons. Don't know exactly the context of that, but considering it has to stay on Earth, and considering it's the 5 companies, and considering we've never heard of any of the other companies after this, maybe by the end of season 3, Weyland Yutani will have absorbed or destroyed all of the other companies on the planet, and so it's only Weyland Yutani from that point forward. You know, and that's why we haven't heard of any of the other companies before. So, like, that's a way that they can write themselves out of it. That might, you know, hey, that could be interesting, you know, just show Weyland Yutani becoming the behemoth that it ends up being, you know what I mean?
That would be another way or just a way to explain why no one else knows about the Xeno, too. Yeah.
But they shouldn't know about the Xeno either, considering it's before the Nostromo.
You do get some sort of, it seems like they're sort of implying in the original Alien that, you know, that Ash did have some information.
I guess
Because
right.
they get the distress signal and they're sent there, but there seems like there was an underlying mission of, it's a distress signal. Like we're just we're sending these truckers in as patsies to go and get something very dangerous because we don't care if they make it, and our droid will make sure that this thing gets back to us.
That's fair. So because if they, but how would they have gotten wind of
and that's the thing too.
Because why is the distress call come so long after because technically Prometheus happens more than 100 years before Alien 1.
So
and Prometheus is when the original ship crashes.
Well, we hear them say that they haven't invented faster than light travel. So FTL travel doesn't exist yet, which means a message sent from Earth to anywhere else could take hundreds of thousands of years to get wherever it needs to go. If they haven't invented faster than light travel, that also explains the cryosleep pods needing to sleep for 50, 60 years. I mean, when Ripley wakes up in Aliens, her daughter's already 60, 70 years old.
But they made it seem like 57 years was an abnormally long time to be in stasis, and now they're acting like it's normal for everyone. Like he was like, you were out there for a really long time, and he like doesn't want to tell her it's 57 years, but now they're acting like 57 years is like nothing. You know what I mean?
You signed the contract.
Yeah. So like they're making those adjustments, and not all of them are making sense within their own lore.
It's kind of reaching. The only thing I could say is the reason why maybe the Nostromo people or anyone else in the universe doesn't know about these xenomorphs at all is either because Yutani's kept it secret, or what I'm hoping is because at the end of Resurrection, when Ripley and Winona get back to Earth, Earth is wrecked. It is completely destroyed. What's to say that because of this fight between the 5 big companies, Earth doesn't just get wrecked, and that's why nobody goes back to Earth anymore. Yutani becomes strictly a spacefaring company.
But we don't know that Earth was destroyed. That was a deleted scene. In continuity in Resurrection, Earth wasn't destroyed. They just arrive and it was green and everything was okay. Technically, in another version of it, yes, they see that it's all been destroyed, but that's not technically canon. So they don't have to go with that.
But this is one of the things. We're having to do all this work as the audience, and that is just the underlying issue here, and just speaks to sort of like the messiness of the story.
As a comic book fan, I always go back to Stan Lee's old No Prize, and it's basically what happened is in Marvel Comics, if a reader ever discovered a plot hole within the comics and sent a letter in, but also included a way that hole could be filled, like an explanation, then Stan Lee would feature their letter in Stan's soapbox in the comic for all the comics for a month, and he would award them a No Prize because they would not get a prize, but they would get awarded. So you win a No Prize. Now it feels like they're requiring all of us to do no prizes for them in order to make their shit make sense. Like that's not how things should be, and it is Marvel. Like it's Marvel owns. Marvel, all of that is under DC now, or under Disney now. So yeah, it's. But anyway, little sidetrack there, but still.
Fair segue.
So yeah, that's. I don't know. Any final thoughts on this episode? I think we covered it pretty handsomely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, no, pretty good.
Yeah, so guys, we do plan to cover the finale next week, and our goal is to go ahead and do a live finale discussion, covering the finale and the whole season. I'm not sure exactly what time we will set that for. I want to check with these dudes to make sure that everyone will be available at the correct time, but I will schedule that and put a thumbnail and stuff up for it early on, or at least I'll tweet about when we'll do it. I'm still having to figure out, because if I put up a link to it and then I can't go live with that link and I got to put up a different link anyway, it might not, I'm still trying to work that out. But anyway, we'll be covering it live next Tuesday. So come on back and hang out with us as we discuss it. Give us your thoughts so we can I want to know what the viewers think. So I would, that's going to be a fun discussion. Thank you guys so much for watching, especially if you've watched all the way up to this point. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. Until next time, though, I've been Cecil Laird.
I've been Davey Death Ray.
And I'm still Mahalo.
And remember, guys, stay scared.
Stay scared.